Show and tell today, maybe, anyway. Welcome to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, and this is another really weird cinema episode, rather, but quick Boots update was I took her to the vet on Monday. She had to get a whole bunch of shots and other shit. I didn't even want to look at the fucking bill because it was close to $800. But the blood was drawn. I should have an answer in a couple of days of how I'm going to proceed with this whole thing, because the vet said she looked really good. You know, she's alert, she's eating, whatever, but there's still that underlying problem, which, has to be resolved before I can move forward. But that's the story with her, and I thank people that have, tried to help me out and wanted to know what was going on and stuff like that is really appreciated. But anyway, going back to Facebook and the Something Weird video group, about a month ago, some guy had posted that he had found in a self-storage this folder. And this folder is loaded with out-of-print Something Weird video titles. Some aren't out of print, some have been re-released, but a bulk of these have not been released again. A lot of Harry Novak stuff, Dave Friedman stuff. I've pulled a few out because I'm watching them. Tobacco Road, Jezebel, Rattlers in the Suburbs, The Hook Generation, just a plethora of shit here that's like, I don't know who bought the rights to a lot of these. I know that Harry Novak had taken back his stuff, before Mike had passed away. And I don't know where that's going on in limbo, but there's just a ton of stuff in here that is like fucking lost. I don't know who bought a few of these things. Satan Was a Lady is in here, but I'm watching that tonight. Space thing. Like I said, I don't foresee a lot of this stuff seeing the light of day again for whatever reason, or at least who the hell knows. But I mean, look at this stuff. It's fucking great. And then you got a whole bunch of shit, let's see here. Twisted Sex, Roadshow Rarities, Trail. I mean, honestly, what happened was the guy, people were telling this guy, you might be sitting on a lot of money here and there, but there's no boxes for this stuff. He got it in the storage thing. So I PM'd the guy and I said, you really looking to sell this stuff? And he goes, I already turned down $150. I said, okay, fine. So somebody had offered him something. I says, look, if that deal falls through, let me know and we can do something. So obviously we've done something because I have them. And like I said, there's some great shit in there. Last night I watched the adult version of Jeckel and Hyde. Hyde spelled H-I-D-E. And this was interesting because I just had the audio commentary on with the late great Mike Veraney and the late great David Friedman, and was listening to what they had to say about this, because of course it's a takeoff on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Some guy kills a guy and finds Dr. Jekyll's notebook and starts doing his formulas and going out and basically killing and mutilating women in various disgusting ways until toward the end he becomes Miss Hyde. And that, twisted up. The selling point of the film actually is that it stars Renee Bond, who was incredibly over back then. You're talking, this was 72. And of course 72 was notable for a couple other things. Mona and Deep Throat were hardcore films that played in theaters and basically kicked the door open for softcore stuff like this to just segue into hardcore. And Dave Friedman had produced and distributed this thing. He said that they came to him with this story and they said, we want to do what you do best, sex and violence. Well, Dave said, well, I do sex here and I do violence here. I don't combine the two. So he goes, you might be running the risk of a lot of things because, the laws were going crazy back then. What was legal in Indiana isn't legal in New York and vice versa and shit like that. So Dave said, let me see, what you're doing and I'll tell you what I can do. So they shot this thing, and like I said, Renee Bond was in it, surgically enhanced Renee Bond because she'd been around for a while. And Dave, took it to Pussycat, up the chain, and they wanted a couple things taken out of it. And it made the rounds. I guess it made its money back. It was, according to Mike, one of the best-selling titles on Something Weird VHS and also on DVD. And you have to really respect what Mike Verini was all about, because with him it wasn't all about the money. He was a businessman, but he was also an archaeologist. And the thing is that most of us were probably unaware that any of this shit existed back then. I mean, 72, Deep Throat, bang, blew the door open. All these other films that had come before that were sort of like, okay, well, the softcore stuff ain't going to fly anymore. It was put on the shelves. I think Dave said he rescued the negative for this thing because they were going to, nobody was paying the storage fees on it, and they were going to chuck it. And, then you ask yourself, how many negatives of other films got chucked? And then, this was sort of a learning experience, because some of these films, they only struck a handful of prints. And when the handful of prints disappeared, that was it. And like Mike says, his whole thing was he wanted to find this shit and, bring it up and offer it to the public for sale, because, people really didn't know about it, and it worked. And, Dave was, sort of trepidatious when they had first met, and he gave Mike a handful of films, and when, he got his first check, he said, how many more do you want? And then opened the door to other guys like Harry Novak and other people like that. So, honestly, I don't know how many films Mike had saved from obscurity. And, unfortunately, leases run out, things, happened, Mike, got sick, the bills built up, but, a lot of this stuff was sold off. But when you look at the whole legacy of the whole thing, if he didn't do this shit, nobody else would have, because nobody else really, be honest with you, nobody else really gave a fuck back then. He was finding this stuff, with the help of Dave, once he got him on board, they were finding a lot of this stuff. And, it's just sad to think how many other films are probably lost because of, nobody thought anything of it, So, everybody, in video today, and, Mike wasn't doing it to be the coolest cat on the block like some of these other people are doing. Mike was doing it out of a genuine love for film, a love for the genres that he was finding, a love for the whole business. And, like I said, every video company today owes a debt of gratitude to Something Weird Video, because if they hadn't dug this stuff up, you're not finding anything new. I mean, I know that all of a sudden some negatives for stuff have surfaced overseas, but the bottom line is you're not finding anything new. It's pretty much whatever he had is out there, and unfortunately it was sold to some people who really have no intention of putting it out. But I got a funny feeling that the adult version of Jeckel and Hyde is going to come out. I'm sure that there's something in the works for some kind of a Friedman box set type thing or something like that. So, we can only hope. But that's why I'm reviewing a lot of these films, because now I have access to the things. And unfortunately, years ago, my collection was sort of pilfered by someone I was living with, so stuff disappeared. So a lot of this stuff I don't have in my collection, and I'm looking forward to revisiting it and maybe rediscovering some of the shit and then sharing it with you. So that's our show for today. That's Boots moaning in the background. She's got to go out. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Above all, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.